This is Chico Resch. You are listening to the Let's Go Devils podcast on the Primetime Radio Network.
Happy Devils Sunday. This is the Woo Report. The Woo Report, episode 223, titled Devils Big Arbitration Week. I'm your host, Sam Woo, coming to you live from the Primetime Radio studios here at the Bunker, somewhere in beautiful New Jersey, as we're streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter Live, and Twitch on the Primetime Radio Network, or should I say, Let's Go Devils Network. I'm trying to, when you redo your cue cards and all that kind of stuff, you kind of mess it up. So hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. This is the Woo Report, and we've got some reporting to do, because this week is going to be a big week for the New Jersey Devils. Big arbitration week, August 3rd, Jesper Bratt. His hearing is set. I think it's August 6th, I believe, Miles Wood. And then afterwards, Tyce Thompson towards next week. But this is a big week for the New Jersey Devils because Elliot Friedman on his podcast said there is no chatter between the two parties of the New Jersey Devils and Jesper Bratt's camp, his agent. And I guess for the media folks, if there's no chatter, guess what? There's nothing to report, and it gets hard during the offseason to actually write stories, talk about it. And I think it's kind of jostling for position, posturing, whatever you want to call those negotiation terms. But it's going to go down to the last minute before there's a hearing. And if there is a hearing, well, that's where it gets a little dicey, because I've said all along, I don't like it to get to the hearing. I want it settled beforehand, because arbitration hearings, feelings could possibly get hurt. Now, Tom Fitzgerald has a reputation of being a player's GM. If you remember, not too long ago when he was trading Kyle Palmieri and Travis Zajac, he was saying, I hope they win the cup. I hope we get the last pick of the draft. And I thought to myself, don't you want the Islanders to lose so you can get a higher pick? Which turned out to be, I believe, Chase Stillman, 2021. Steve Carter says they'll settle at $7 million. For Jesper Bratt, he's just, he's probably letting his agent handle it. And sometimes it gets a little dicey. Sometimes the negotiation goes sour. Sometimes they come to a great agreement. And it was a pump fake. Don't ever discount that, because the Devils are very strategic when it comes to announcements. You never know if they, and again, this is just not even speculating. I'm just making up an example, but you never know if they really have a deal in principle. They're just waiting to the last minute to keep it in the news headlines and keep people talking in the media that there's no chatter, but really there is an offer on the table. All Jesper Bratt has to do is say yes. So they say, all right, let's see, on August 2nd, Tuesday, at 4:45 p.m. Eastern, we're going to have a deal. A deal. Well, let's see what happens, because I think the dominoes will fall what happens to Jesper Bratt. Miles Wood, coming off of it, an injury, played a couple games last season, but that's going to be an interesting one. The Devils sure could use Miles Wood and his energy, what he brings to the table. A little bit of craziness, a little bit of shenanigans. Never hurt anybody. But it definitely is a big arbitration week for the New Jersey Devils. Tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern, we've got the Let's Go Devils podcast Sunday edition. It will be Shorts Guy and I. Beer Baron and Scotty are not going to be on the Sunday edition. It's just going to be Short Sky and I, this Sunday, tonight, at 9 p.m. Eastern. Catch us there. Also, Tyce Thompson, you know what? Let's see what happens with him. Maybe he's fighting for a one-way contract, because I can't imagine him exercising his arbitration rights. But you know what? Who knows if he may get a victory? Maybe something will get settled. I don't know. But Miles Wood and Jesper Bratt, those are the two biggies this week. So it's going to be crazy around Tuesday and Wednesday of this week. August 2nd and 3rd. August 3rd being the hearing. Other hearings around the NHL as well. So it should be interesting. YouTube Live, where are you, folks? Normally I see some chatter. Mike Rossi, happy Devils Sunday to you too. Steve Tardas, he's chatting it up in the Facebook Live. Thompson is worth what? The guy's always injured. Boy, if Steve Tardas was the Devils GM, let me tell you something. If he ever got to those arbitration hearings, feelings would be hurt. And that's not what we want here. The goal here is to come up with an agreement. And sometimes it doesn't happen. Sometimes things get bitter. I mean, I'm still traumatized by Bill Guerin's arbitration hearing, where Bill Guerin was like, all right, 1 year, boom, he was shipped off. Jason Arnott comes back to the New Jersey Devils, and the rest is history. The A-line, Arnott's career resurrected. Good afternoon, Sam, says Eugene Hewitt. Good afternoon, Eugene Hewitt, YouTube Live. And this is going to be a little bit of a shorter podcast because tonight we got the Let's Go Devils podcast, Sunday edition. Also, I want to talk about numbers. We talked about numbers with State of the Fan Address. Pucksandpitchforks.com this month surpassed 500,000 views. Geeky Gamer family, hello from Kansas. Thank you for telling me where you're from. We have people from Kansas listening to this fine programming called the Woo Report. That's great. But speaking of which, the numbers, this podcast, which had a previous high record of 20,000 downloads per month, which happened in December of 2021, is now on 1,000 download pace in the month of July, and we are over 30,000 downloads in July 2022, and the meter is still running. And I just want to thank you, the fans, downloading our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeart app, Spotify, Audible, Amazon Music Prime. 30,000 downloads this month, and we're in the off season, folks. A new record, 1,000 downloads per day on average. And I want to thank you, the fans, for making us part of your lives. You know, we talked about this podcast, the Let's Go Devils podcast, being three Devils fans at a bar talking Devils hockey. And then we just put the camera on it, on our conversation, and bring you into our conversation. Doug Sanik says, LOL, Bratt isn't going to get $7 million. Alan Moda, also known as Al Skates, I think, on YouTube Live. See, he's social media bar hopping. Listening to you from Big Thunder Mountain at Disneyland. Oh, what a great ride. I've never been to Disneyland. I've only been to Disney World. One of my favorite rides. You put your arms up, and you're like, ah, and you're going around. And then the rocks are trying to, going to fall and all that kind of stuff. I did one time went on the Big Thunder Mountain ride when it just started lightning. Thunder and lightning had just started. and the ride just like boom was done. That was kind of cool. Or if you ever done it in a pouring rain as well, that's kind of cool as well. Yeah, I'm a big Disney fan. I'll admit it. You know, I go to Disney quite often, not recently, just because of the whole pandemic, all that. Love Disney. That's it just always makes me happy, especially when I go to the New York Rangers monument, which is also known as Epcot. When I see that big golf ball, I think about all the times that they get knocked out of the playoffs or not even make the playoffs and not winning cups. Anyway, that was a bad joke. But thank you. Alan Moda, anybody else that's in line at Disney, let us know. Let us know where you're catching the podcast. I mean, I used to stream games, the Devils games, when I'd wait in line at Disney. This ride's no longer there anymore, but it was one of my favorite rides was Norway. You know, the Norwegian ride, but now I think it's definitely changed. It's what's that movie? I don't even know what that movie is, but they changed it. It's like a very iconic ride, and Disney, of course, had to change it to some like ice movie. I forgot what it's called. Sorry, I'm not up to date on my Disney. You know, I'm just a Mickey Mouse, Goofy. You know, old school Disney. As far as I go, is probably, I don't know, Toy Story or maybe Lion King. That's as far as I go back. Beauty and the Beast. What's the other one? Little Mermaid. Okay, Fred says Frozen. Thank you. I knew it's something ice. Something. Yes, it's a Frozen ride. I don't think I've ever been on that ride. Animal Kingdom is one of my favorite places as well, down at Disney World. Truth be told, my parents live 5 minutes away from Disney, so I get spoiled going there at my own leisure. Also, my sister knows how, you know, she knows the whole Fast Pass system. She knows how to get on what rides. Soaring is one of my favorite rides at Epcot. You know, those are pretty cool. Donnell Weaver says, hey, Samuel, are you into Marvel or DC, or are you like both? You know, to tell you the truth, Donnell, I never was really into that growing up. The only cartoons I really liked are Archie, if anyone remembers Archie, and some of the, you know, comic strips in the back of the newspaper. You know, I would be a big fan of, but no, I was never into DC comics or Marvel at all, believe it or not. Now, you know, some of the cartoons I used to watch, like He-Man, that was one of my favorites. Thundercats, DuckTales, love DuckTales. Woo! That's one of my favorite. Huey, Dewey, and Louie. I've always felt that my life has always been like Launchpad McQuacks. You know, just about to fumble it and fall, but just able to save it right at the end. The crash landings, Launchpad McQuack. Anyway, enough of that. Maybe that'll be another Woo Report. Talk about the good old days, like when cartoons were really cartoons. Dennis the Menace was a good one. One I liked. You know, some of the Looney Tunes stuff. Steve Cardos is keeping on the topic. Tyce Thompson, 9 NHL games over the last 2 years, 1 point. Hey, he's looking for a one-way contract. Maybe he's testing the free agency process. Maybe he's just trolling Tom Fitzgerald by exercising his rights, his arbitration rights. Can't blame the guy. I'd do the same thing. Be like, yeah, I deserved a one-way contract and $875,000 guaranteed. Voltron's a good one. Alan, also known as Al Skates on YouTube Live. Voltron's a very good one. You know, I collected like each. I think it's Lion. I don't remember, but I had the figure. Transformers was very good. Optimus Prime. My cousin, who I was very jealous, my cousin Larry, had the tractor trailer, version. It was awesome. But Transformers, it's funny that you talk about like Voltron and Transformers. Transformers, I used to have. I'll never forget this. I'll never forget this, and I still wonder. I still wonder to this day who stole my Transformer for my birthday in second. This is second grade. I still remember this, and I'm still wondering who stole my Transformer. My parents got me this Transformer. It was a Soundwave, I believe, where it's like a Walkman, and then there's like a transformer inside that's like a cassette, version of a cassette tape, but then you can take it apart and it transforms into, something. And I had this awesome transformer I always wanted. And my birthday's on September 4th, and it was like the first day of school. Of course, I got to bring my transformer in. And, you put your book bag in the closet, and then when I went to get my book bag, I showed my friend, I put my transformer down, turned around to get my coat, and then when I turned back, the transformer was gone, and to this day, I don't know which kid stole it. I have my suspicions, but it's those little things that you just remember your entire life. Who stole my Transformers? And now as an adult, I look on eBay, I'm like, should I pay these collectibles? High prices to get my Transformer, even though I'm a grown adult. Do I really need this possession? Did you watch any of the G.I. Joe movies? Not so much the movies, but I did watch the G.I. Joe cartoons. Knowing is half the battle, that stuff. Yeah, I'm an 80s kid, 80s, 90s. Donnell, I love that stuff. When I see stuff on TV, I don't get it. I just simply don't get it. I think kids are better off with old school stuff. I mean, I used to watch Leave It to Beaver in the morning at my grandma's house, and then I Love Lucy as well. Black and white. Those are classics. Absolute classics. But for those joining in on this conversation on Devil's Big Arbitration Week, that's what it's like right now. There's no news other than these dates. They're about to happen. And we'll break it to you, but you know what? We go off a little tangent here on the Woo Report sometimes. Add a little entertainment. Add a little shenanigans to the podcast as it's July 31st, 4:45 p.m. Eastern. Some of you are in Disney, which I'm jealous. I'm trying to think which is my favorite Disney ride. Probably Carousel Progress. Carousel Progress down in Disney World, New York's World Fair. Did you know this? Carousel Progress down in Disney. The voiceover, the father, if you recognize that voice, that's also the adult voice of Ralphie Parker in A Christmas Story. Did you know that? Did you know that? Who knew that? Let me know. Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter Live. Did you know that? Yeah, I could do a whole thing on Disney, podcast on Disney, stuff we used to do on Disney rides to make it more fun. Well, big arbitration week for the New Jersey Devils. Also, I'm starving for Devils content. I'm hoping that Catherine Bogart will come out with some Jersey Life content on the New Jersey Devils social media pages. She does those bits called Jersey Life. Maybe she should come over to the Primetime Radio Studios in the bunker, and come interview me about doing this podcast. And look at the people that are watching this podcast every day, as 30,000 downloads in July. Oh my goodness. But the problem is, if she comes to the studios, we don't want her to know where we're at. It's a bunker. We'll have to figure that part, logistics. We'll have to figure that part out. I want to thank all those watching, listening in to some of the nonsense, but Devils big arbitration week. In all seriousness, Jesper Bratt, we will be on top of it. Also, just to let you know, Nick Villano, Pucks and Pitchforks blog, editor-in-chief, he has made it to New Jersey safely. His move from Florida. Alan Motor's talking about some ride in Disney. I'm going to have to take a look at that. Ramona Rice says, let's go Devils. Ramona Rice from Kentucky. Yeah, all you fans are all over the place, which is great. This is why we do the online thing. All right, so I'm going to drop the podcast in about 20 minutes on our podcast pages. Thank you very much for making us a top 50 podcast in all of hockey in the United States in Apple Podcasts. Much appreciated. If you don't believe me, go to chartable.com. They do all the rankings. It's a very credible company that ranks podcasts. Thank you. I'm going to hit the music. Just remember, 9 p.m. Eastern, Devils, it's the Let's Go Devils podcast, Sunday edition, on the Let's Go Devils Network. Thank you. Short Sky and I will be live. Thank you. Cheryl Miller, hello. Thank you for showing up, Cheryl Miller. Oh, that's it. Big week of podcasts coming up. Big week. I'm going to be on location at a restaurant somewhere in Edison, New Jersey with the Moose, Rebecca Moose Morse, PHF player. She and I are going to have some exotic cuisine and doing a Woo report as well. Let's see how that goes. I tell you more, but I'm teasing it. But you got to find out like how this conversation that Moose and I had now has turned into, yeah, let's eat exotic food in front of these fans. Tuesday night, somewhere in Edison, New Jersey. We're not disclosing where we're going. Otherwise, we're going to have people showing up like, oh, now I have to eat and entertain people and do a podcast at the same time. Yes, and also State of the Fan address this Wednesday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. We're going to have to figure this one out because Nick Villano is somewhere in Atlantic City, and we're going to figure out how he's going to do the podcast as well. Thank you. This is the Woo Report. Till next time, let's go Devils.